Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
Nope, my name is Mike Piwowarski. I come to you from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most. Here from your co-host with the most. Here on the Rundown, 2A Views, Conservative News. Craig, how's your day going? Everything going all right so far?
It is going phenomenal, phenomenal. Definitely enjoying. Finally got to start the weekend, so I am
There you go.
having a
There you
having
go.
a good time.
Good to go. Good to go. Always good when you get the weekend started on time. There you go.
Eventually, we like to start early, but hey, we get it when we can get it,
Hey,
right?
we'll take it whenever we can get it. We'll take it
There you
whenever we
go.
can get it.
There you go.
Exactly right.
Hey, folks,
Exactly
do
right.
us a favor. However you are watching us, please encourage your friends to do the same. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube. You can watch us on Facebook. You can watch us on OpsLens. You can see us on Spotify. You can also listen to us if you just want to listen to the audio version. It's probably safer while you're driving. You can find us wherever you get your podcast. But here's the thing, folks. You got to like, got to share, got to subscribe. And once again, need to encourage your friends to do the same.
Yeah, do all that stuff. Do what he said. Like, share, subscribe.
Do that stuff. Do that stuff.
Do the thing with the guy.
The thing. Do the thing with the guy. Okay, look. Hey, so we know this is, we know it's Friday, so we're not going to keep you too long today. Well, who knows? We may wind up going off on a bunch of this stuff, but you never know. But let's jump right into the stories right now. The first story here, why I need a gun. If you have been, first of all, understand this. The idea and the concept behind the need to possess a firearm is the fact that you are your own first responder. The reality is that when something goes down, the chances of a law enforcement officer armed with a firearm being right there on the spot, being able to deal with whatever that situation is, well, it's kind of slim because guess what? They can't be everywhere. Well, now that's just a basic concept, right? Law enforcement is often minutes away when seconds matter. Well, in some places like the city of New Orleans, law enforcement may be hours away before they may be
Right.
hours away when seconds matter. And that's according to, by the way, to a new study or new report that is out regarding New Orleans police response. In this police response, they noted that in some cases, this is, by the way, Tom Knighton, a good friend of ours, guy. We use a lot of his stories when we're talking about 2A stuff here at the Rundown. He was reporting on a story on a report where 911 calls. It says it takes New Orleans police an average. Now this is an average of 2.5 hours to respond to a 911 call, according to a new analysis. Now, Mike, I think if there was ever an argument as to why, I mean, other than just the fact that I don't need to argue why I need one, I at least not when it comes to whether or not I should be allowed to have one. Now, whether or not I should decide to have one, I think this is the number one argument, at least if I live in the city of New Orleans.
Yeah, just great proof, right? Like you said, the saying is always, when you need the police now, they're when you need the police in seconds, they're minutes away, right? And
Yeah.
that's typical for most major cities. For the emergency calls, you're running anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, just depending on if you're rural or if you're metro or not. So now let's be clear. I do want to come to the defense a little bit of Nolan's police department. There, this is all 911 calls. Okay, this is not hello. There's a murder in progress or there's a home invasion in progress. This is when the person at home also picks up the call for 911, dials 911, picks up the phone and says, "Hello, my neighbor's dogs are barking." Okay, that's going to get the lowest priority list. It might get answered in 3-4 hours. So you add enough of theirs on there, and most of your 911 calls are not emergencies. It really, really puts your response time average down on the down low there. But again, it still drags away from your emergency calls, whether that's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes to get somebody there for an emergency. By then, it's over. It's done. If you're not able to defend yourself in a life and death situation, they might be bringing the coroner with them.
Yeah, I wish they could actually just make this a little more clear because, like, for example, and we've called about dogs barking, but I've never called 911 about about animals or anything like that. Usually, we have a separate number for animal control or non-emergency stuff. And I can't,
But
folks, if you're
Greg,
calling
you're one of those
911 for
people that
non-emergency
educates
stuff, you
yourself,
need to
though.
stop.
Yeah. Right. You're one of those people that educates yourself, though. But you have to remember if something happens to somebody and it's
Hmm.
the most traumatic event in their life, it might still be they got in a fist fight, and it's
Right.
over with. And now they're trying to report it, so they're dialing 911 because they're shaky and that's all they can think about. Um,
Mm.
it's just people's natural reaction. We drilled into their head forever and ever, dial 911. So, we get
Right.
people that dial 911 and ask the number for 911.
Hmm. But once again, and I think you would agree with me on this. It's still this exaggerates the concept, but the idea once again is just like with medical attention. How often is there a medic right there on the scene when someone has a heart attack? Almost never. So if there are people there who know CPR, if there is a defibrillator there, you increase the likelihood that should such a need arise, that the individual who needs it is going to live through that situation. Because once again,
Yeah.
everything you need, or at least
Yeah.
what you need to at least get you through the very beginning till the experts get there, is right there on scene.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely right. Listen, again, there is a national average. I'm sure New Orleans PD is slower than the national average just based on the number of calls and the call volume they're getting in there, the officers they have there. But it's 2.5 hours. Yeah, that's your,
Mm-hmm.
my neighbors parked on my lawn kind of response call.
Well, but
But
also might keep in mind this is the city that leads the nation in murders per capita, so they might be
oh yeah,
busy.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, exactly right. Yeah,
Yeah.
they
So
are not the most secure city in the world. Let's say that. Yeah, yeah.
right. So do yourselves a favor, take the time. If you, I'm serious, folks. This is like anything else, right? You need to make sure that you are prepared. And I know some of you out there thinking, because I was at that one point where I didn't own a firearm, and now I could not see myself without
Blasphemy.
having a firearm, at the very least, in my home at the ready in the event that should the need arise. Some of us have gone to the point where we've actually done training to learn how to deal with those sorts of situations should they arise, whether in the home or concealed carrying outside of the home. But once again, it all comes back to recognizing the fact that we are our own first responders. And let me just tell you, whether you
There you
believe it
go.
or not, it is true. So the question is, are you prepared to be your own first responder or not?
Yeah, I don't care if you're in the greatest police response city in the world and they're there in 2 to 3 minutes. That's still 2 to 3 minutes longer than after the crime happened while you're standing there.
Look, here's an example, and I've read this a number of times. From first round to last round, Sandy Hook lasted 4 minutes.
Oh, there was even it was actually two and a half,
Yeah,
right? Because you're adding in two more. They added in 2 more minutes for the call to go through.
right.
But from first shot to last shot, like 2.5 minutes, and it was
Right.
4 minutes before the call had even gotten through to them. Yeah.
Right. So that's just once again, that's not, and that is not us denigrating the police. It's just a recognition of basic facts that they can't be everywhere.
Hey, and listen, 4 minutes is a great response time for a city.
Oh yeah.
It
Oh
it,
yeah.
it,
No.
it really is. But when everything's done in 2.5, forget about it.
Exactly. Exactly. So why do you need one? And by the way, that also just want to get once again want to reiterate the fact is you have a right to defend yourself. You don't have to make up a reason legally why you need one. But for those of you who recognize that you have the right, but don't really know or don't really believe that you need one, I think this gives you a good argument in favor of why you need one.
Right now, I'll say this as we caveat, out of this story, make sure you know your state's laws when it comes to stand your ground, castle doctrine,
Yes.
and self defense, because they do vary greatly by state, and in some states, you're still required to flee before using deadly force.
Oh, dude, that is an excellent point. Know your laws. Honestly,
Yeah,
that's what got me into doing gun rights stuff. Was I figured, look, if I'm gonna own one, I hadn't owned one, for most of my adult life. I hadn't owned one for most of my adult life, and I said, if I'm gonna have one, I'm gonna make sure I know and I understand the law. And being in
yeah,
California, I learned that the law is a bunch of BS. and
Yeah.
also can also be very complicated.
Yep.
And that's what eventually would lead me into getting to being involved and engaged in the fight for our constitutional right to keep and bear arms. But the,
Yes, sir.
you need to know the law, because you can do everything right, and still, in the event that you wind up in a situation where you have to use your firearm, there's a whole bunch of legal and
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch of loopholes, hoops you're gonna have to jump through. So
There you go. There you go.
know it, know it, know it, know it.
Yep.
All right, moving right along. This is great to see. In state after state after state, it appears that it appears that wokeness appears to be taking over. Well, not in the state of Wisconsin, or at least not in this one school district in the state of Wisconsin. This particular school district is going to be bans pride flags and pronouns. Now, I'm not a fan of the quote unquote pride flag, but what in particular of government celebrating the pride flag, because let's just be honest, Mike, there are a lot of flags that we could be honoring and things that we could be recognizing that we don't. Because, well, government shouldn't be picking sides and in a lot of these issues. In particular, when you've got the issue of, you have some people who want to celebrate pride and some people who recognize that is not a lifestyle that is consistent with their faith. And while they don't have any problem with people living that lifestyle, and they don't want to celebrate it, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
and
this
I'm
is
not
a
sure
waste
how
of
they
time.
got how the flag got protection anyway. Let's say, listen, it's the school, and we celebrate Black History Month in February. We have Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we have all these different months that we have in the school system, but none of them have flags where we have to fly their flag that whole month. So I don't understand where the flag piece became so important to the movement. But anyway, I'll let you get back to the story.
Well, no, Mike. What it comes down to celebrating, and this is the
Yeah.
point: is that America is based on the idea that we can have people with different beliefs, right?
Yep.
But when we as a people decide what we are going to honor, recognize, and celebrate, well, the people have a say in what they will and will not honor, recognize, and celebrate. And unfortunately, in many of these cases, they want to force the idea of quote unquote celebrating a lifestyle. And let's be honest, it is a lifestyle. And people say, well, they're born that way. All I say is that you can believe, you have a right to believe what you believe. I am not obligated to, I'm obligated to respect your right to believe that, but I'm not obligated to respect your beliefs. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
And
This is the
they want to force people to recognize, not just recognize, but to honor their beliefs.
Yeah, right. Is it that it? I don't want you to listen to my side of the story. I want you to agree with my side of the story. That's
Right.
that's the problem. Um, um, this is the Kettle Moran School District. Kettle Moran School District. This is their superintendent Ken Plum. Now, this guy didn't go out and reinterpret things. Craig, this guy didn't go out and decide single handedly, or the board didn't decide single handedly. They're canceling all wokeness. What they did was went back in and just highlighted and explained to people the things that are already stated in the school board's policy that have been there for years and years, right? And it says that the policy that prohibits staff from using their positions to promote partisan politics, religious views, and propaganda for personal, monetary, or non-monetary gain. So that's it. They just went through and said, here's the stuff, folks. Okay, this has been this way forever. Just because some other people in some other places are getting all woke doesn't mean you're going to come in here to our school district and take away from our number one priority, which is educating your children.
Well, no, Mike, and he even goes further, and he points out that there are other flags, other things that are prevented from being able to be posted, including not just pride flags, but
Yeah,
Black Lives Matter, as well as "We Back the Badge" signs. Those are not allowed to be
yeah,
posted as well. I think that, once again, that way what he's doing is he's pointing out, look, this is not partisan. this is a policy that that has always been here, and this is a
Yeah,
policy about not promoting propaganda or an agenda. We're here to educate, not
that's it.
indoctrinate.
That's it. So good on you, Wisconsin.
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 Wisconsin, love
That's
that,
where cheese
love
comes
that, love
from. They
that.
got cheese.
Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff coming out of Wisconsin, and that's what we ought, man. That's what we ought to be doing. I was talking with some folks yesterday at a school event, and I said, the biggest challenge I have is that we can't be agreeable in our disagreement any longer. It's like as soon as
Right.
you become, it's like I have to force my way of thinking down your throat, and you try to do the same to me, and we don't even necessarily, even when we're debating or discussing, we don't even talk the facts or the merits of the ideas, which by the way is what's always made America great, is that we could do that. Now it's I'm going to call you names and I'm going to try and shame you or
Yeah.
arrest you if you don't believe what I believe.
Yep. You're correct.
Remove you
You're
from
correct. You
the
must agree
discussion.
with me. That's your only option. I am the opposition here, and you must agree with me. Otherwise, I must demean you. We can't have difference of opinion anymore.
Exactly. A bunch of BS, bunch of BS. But once again,
Yep.
I'm glad that I'm glad to see the school district over here standing up.
Yep.
Send in the Marines. That was the call from Mr. Ron DeSantis. We call him Captain Florida. The other day, I believe, yeah, the other day we read an article, and we talked about an article where they were basically attacking the idea of allowing retired military to come in and fill roles as teachers in the classroom. Now, Mike made some excellent points in regards to why this makes sense, and I believe Ron DeSantis has come out and made uh, further explained and expounded upon the points as to why we need to be allowing this. And Mike, I'll let you kind of share some of those points.
Yeah. For those that missed it, the original bill was, uh, and it passed into law that prior military that served at least 4 years honorable service could come into the teaching profession if they met a few criteria. This wasn't just straight in the door. You already had to have 60 college credits, which in Florida is equal to your 2-year degree. You have to have at least a 2.5 grade point average on the 4.0 scale, and then you have to pass your teaching certification. Normally, the teaching certification in Florida is have your 4-year degree. So what he's done is given them a 2-year break on college for 5 years. So he's giving them a temporary certificate for 5 years as long as they meet all the other requirements. And at the end of that 5 years, they have to have their bachelor's degree. Otherwise, they lose their temporary certificate. So simple thing. They reached out, they found some qualified people, some motivated people, some trained people that wanted to do this. And immediately there was backlash from, oh, listen, all of the teachers unions, right? Because you can't just throw anybody in there. You can't just throw people in there. Other teachers that have been sitting on their butts for so long. And now that there's motivated people willing to come in the door, they're offended and they're hurt that these people they're not teachers. Well, listen, I made the point on here with you the other day, Craig. If you've been in the military more than a year or two, you're an instructor and you're a teacher. That's all you do. You move up the chain, you learn your task, you teach that task to others. That's the simple design of the military. Know your job, the job below you, the job left and right, and the job above, and be prepared to instruct all levels. That's what you do as a soldier. Airman, Marine, Guardian, all that other good stuff. So he got confronted by it during one of his news conferences during the week. And I'm going to pull out some of his comments here that the governor had. He said, you give me somebody who has 4 years of experience as a devil dog over somebody who has 4 years of experience at shoehorn you, and I'll take the Marine every day of the week and twice on Sunday. He goes on further. He says, another thing we did is we said, okay, how can we get more talent into our school system? We did this bill and we passed it. And he says that the 60 hours, the 2.5 GPA, this will get them their temporary certification. This will give them the opportunity to go in and contribute now rather than have to wait. He goes, you got some people in the media or whatever who are criticizing this. Had the head of the teachers union over in Sarasota criticize it, saying, you can't just throw any warm body into the classroom. His response was, well, I'll tell you something. People have served our country are not just some warm body. They have a lot to offer our communities. And And it just went like the most of Ron DeSantis's other press conferences, where the media is putting their head down, trying to avoid getting called on because they don't want to take shots from him. You know, this guy just, when they ask a stupid question, he throws it back at 600 miles an hour.
Well, and that's that's one of the reasons why a lot of people are like, that's why a lot of people are getting on the Ron DeSantis bandwagon when it comes to presidential race, because he is his ability to respond both appropriately, intelligently, and with veracity is second to none for all. When I think of everybody who is considering running for president in 2024, I can't think of anybody who can do it with the ability and skill that he does.
I do miss the way the other guy did it, though. I do like the way he did
yeah,
it.
he was definitely much more entertaining. I mean,
Wrong.
Bombastic.
Wrong. Nothing burger. Wrong.
Yeah, there was definitely an entertainment value. But
yes.
Honestly, between you and I would rather have being entertaining is not the number one quality I look for in a president.
No. Well, I hope not, because we've got that now. This guy's very entertaining when we watch him. But that doesn't mean he's qualified. He's fun to watch him wander around the White House and all lost in the Rose Garden. And he's fun to watch. What?
Having absolutely no idea what he is going to say.
Falling off his bicycle, all the kinds of falling up the stairs. How do you fall upstairs?
How do you fall upstairs? I mean, that's not once, not twice. He fell 3 times up the same set of stairs.
3 times fell up the stairs. I don't know how you do that, but he did it. So
that's your president.
Yep. Oh well. So Craig, let's move on to the next one here, because I've had withdrawals. I've had the DTs. I've been waiting for this guy to come back and tell me what to do with my life every day.
I know. If you notice, he disappeared into nowhere for the longest time. Here's what I love. I love the fact that he said, well, if Donald Trump gets elected, I'm not going to continue. I'm going to retire from my position as the head of the National Institute for Infectious Diseases, or for Allergy and Infectious
Disinformation.
Diseases. He acts as if he would not get fired.
Right. Yeah.
He acts as if as if President Trump or any Republican would not just fire his butt. But
listen, for those that don't know how government works, when these are appointed positions, right? Mm-hmm. When the newly elected official comes in and he takes office, usually the first thing laying on his desk is the resignation letters from all of the appointed positions. Right. And then the president or the governor or the mayor goes through and says keeping or getting rid of. That way it gives those people who are usually leaders in their field the opportunity to say resigned with the new administration.
Right.
As opposed to this guy who evidently thought he was going to stay and wasn't going to get fired, because if you say, no, I'm not leaving, guess what? You're fired. Get out.
Pretty much that's how it works.
Yeah.
Well, he's back. And he's back because he's basically saying that, hey, if you're not up to date on your COVID vaccines and boosters, you're going to be in trouble come the fall, because the COVID is coming back. Now, Mike, last I checked, and I could be 100% wrong on this. I will wholly admit that I could be wrong. But last I checked, a majority of the people who are testing positive with the COVID are people who actually vaccinated and boosted.
Yes, and I'm not sure on those facts. I haven't checked those in the last couple of weeks to give you any updates, because honestly, don't care about COVID anymore. What I do know is I talked to Dr. John Adine, who's a surgeon and former military surgeon as well, and he's in our Second Amendment community. And he told me that the COVID that is currently out there is so weak and so powerless that you may have it and not even know you have it. He said it is easier to transmit right now. The one that's out there transmits about as easy as the flu does, but it has zero effect. It's less powerful than any flu strain that's out there. And so people should just get the word COVID out of their head and move on with their lives.
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that one bit. Now, I do know people who are getting the newest strain, and they're getting sick. Don't get me wrong. But people are not necessarily dying from the new strain of COVID any more than they were from the flu at this point.
Yeah, this is less
From what
than
I
the flu, and
understand.
that's what the
Right.
doc. That's what the doctor told us. Less than the flu. And listen, if you're the kind of person who gets the flu, you're going to get this strain of the COVID. That's just how your immune system is built, you know. But if you're the kind of person that hasn't had a sneeze or a cough in 10 years, yeah, you're good. Go to work, wash your hands, you know.
Well, and mind you, and once again, for those of you, just please understand that also it is the one thing that has not changed is if you are in a high risk group. So if you are elderly, if you
Yeah,
are morbidly obese with other, in particular with other comorbidities, it is going to be harder on you than it is on someone who is younger and healthier and doesn't have the comorbidities. Just know now it's not going to be as bad as it was like, in 2020, but it's still going to be harder on you. It's still important that you do what you can to address those comorbidities. Obviously, you can't get any younger, but
yep,
take care of yourself, get healthy, because ultimately,
yeah. And
this
you
was a
correct.
disease that severely harmed, or more likely was going to harm the unhealthy.
We hear, you hear all the time, like people with, lung diseases, breathing diseases, anything like that. We know that's an issue with them. But you hear about the obese, Craig. Do you know why the obese are at higher risk?
Those other comorbidities, right?
Well, no, because when the larger an obese person gets, the more
Mhm.
pressure is on the lungs.
Right.
The air, the lungs actually produce less oxygen. So it's like having you could if you're a smoker your whole life and thin, it's like being fat and not smoker. All right,
Right.
you have pressure on your lungs. Your lungs have less capability to make oxygen and oxygenate your blood and get let your heart pump it out. So that's you could be healthy otherwise, but if your lungs aren't making full capacity worth of air, you're at risk.
Exactly. Exactly. So, how about this? How about you exercise? How about you eat right? You
Eat right
know,
and exercise. That's all you got to do. Eat right and exercise.
funny how that works. But funny how in what are we now? 2.5 years in, and you never heard the government say anything about that.
Yep. Eat right and
Never heard
exercise
them
and
say a
everything
word
in
about that.
moderation. Right. Right.
No,
That's what I always
take
say. Eat right
take
and
the shot.
exercise and everything in
Mhm.
moderation.
Take the
Everything
shot.
in
Wear a
moderation. You'll
mask.
be good.
That's all
Yeah.
you heard.
Yeah. Yeah. Wear the mask. Take a
Wear
shot.
the mask
Get the
and take a
jab.
shot.
Get the
Get the
jab. Get the
jab.
vax.
All right. Well, hey, let's get into our parting shots today. Now, Mike shared this one, and I have to tell you, um, I was dumbfounded by this particular one. I did not
Cautious now
believe it.
because a lot of stuff I share we shouldn't put on the air.
This one I think is appropriate. It's from CNN,
Okay. All
and
right.
it's a
Okay.
warning regarding cervical cancers and cervical cancer screening. Right?
Yes.
It's very important that that certain people who might be in danger of getting cervical cancer, actually from the ages of 25 to 65, that you go when you do your screenings. Now,
Yes.
I thought that cervical cancer was an issue for women. Evidently, it's an issue for individuals with the cervix, which
That's right.
are the same thing. No, yes, maybe.
I would think so, right? But not today, not anymore, right?
Not in today's day
Um,
and age. If you have a cervix, it's individuals with a cervix. So, as I noted, if my prostate identifies as a cervix, do I now qualify in this thing that I should now probably get a cervix? I should go through
yeah, just
a screening.
just make sure you back into the doctor's office.
I just Mike, I am dumbfounded. I have no idea what to say about any of this. This is the
Well,
day and age in
it's
which we are
CNN,
raised.
right? It's
Right.
CNN. It's the headquarters of woke, right? So they of course they're putting it out like that.
Well, and Mike, it's funny because it's almost like especially being that I live in in a liberal area, Sacramento, California, and I also spent a lot of time working in the education community, which also tends to be very very left wing and very woke. There's got to be a way to learn, because there's a lot you have to learn how not to wind up having to deal with not to offend people but yet still stand up for what you know and what you believe in. And
Yeah.
that leads us to our second parting shot. This is a book that we actually have to find. This book must be in existence. It says, How to Pretend to be Indoctrinated Enough So That You Can Stay Out of the Re-Education Camps.
Yeah. Yeah. See, you
Yeah,
and I are
that
beyond that. See, this is the book for people that are not on the TV or the radio. You and I have passed that now. And when we go about our normal lives, we tend to have normal conversations, so they don't call the re-education camp police to come get us. But yeah, that's why the location of my studio is called Location Bravo. It's a secret location, so they can't come get me.
Yeah, I don't get it, man. I just there are certain things that that were a given. Like there were only two genders, right? There's men and there's women, and we're not Location Bravo. Oh, very nice, very nice. He's showing now. What is that? What is that? What is that? A box of toolbox or something?
Yes, it's a toolbox with it
Location
comes with
Bravo
six
on it.
individual tools. Six
Oh
individual
yes.
tools in
Okay. Those are for emotional lubrication.
it. Exactly. There you go. Yeah. Keep the whining down. Put some of this on it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, Mike. Hey, it's about that time for a shout out to our sponsors. You want to give them a holler?
Yes, let's say hello to our good friends at uscombatgear.com. The California Republican Assembly, Grid Defense, and Guerrilla Machining, who I had lunch with today, the Guerrilla Machining folks. So good to see them. And they said, hey. They said, hey.
Phenomenal, folks. Hey, remember, that's going to be it for today's show. But remember, please remember, like, share, subscribe, and encourage your friends to do the same. Please have a fun and safe weekend. And hey, if you're lucky, maybe you'll get to send a few downrange. Pew, pew.
Pew, pew.
I'll talk to you later.